Launching downfield, underthrown, and intercepted. Keely Ringo has an escort down the sidelines.
Heartbreak, longing, despair, letdown, choke.
These are words Atlanta sports fans are all too used to hearing.
Until now.
No more negative expectations. No more playing the victim. No more fair weather freeloaders. No more.
38-yard field goal by Morton Anderson. The hold, the kick, it's on the way, it's up and good. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl. The Falcons are going to the Super Bowl.
From the Mesmerized Studios in Woodstock, Georgia, Believe Entertainment proudly presents Believe in Atlanta Sports with your hosts, Robert Taylor and the Commissioner, Mark Rich.
Well, Atlanta sports fans, what a great day to be alive. What a great day to be an Atlanta sports fan, because what a weekend. Everybody won out. And in case you missed it, in case you haven't noticed, in case you were wondering, the Atlanta Braves still are those motherfuckers. They sweep the New York Mets 3 games right out of town. I saw an RV this morning with New York plates, and I was just praying and hoping they drove all the way down to see this series, and now they're going home with their ass in a sling. Man, oh man, what a series. Dogs give us another scare. Falcons hold on late to beat the Browns. We had a podcast about that. Talk more about that later. But today,
Oprah must have been in Atlanta the way W's were getting handed out.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, what a weekend. It's always fun when that happens. But, man, everybody had the Mets. I'm talking, I went down to my breast cancer walk this week, checked into the hotel on Thursday, did the All Eyes on Cleveland podcast from my hotel room, and I said, while I'm here, let's just watch a little national sports stuff. Around the Horn, what's the one, Kornheiser, I don't know why I can't think
Pardon
of
the
it.
Interruption.
Pardon the Interruption, some other ESPN shows. They all went in on the Mets. Downplayed the Braves. I texted you. I said, well, the national media shit on us again. No surprise. And it's just so good when that happens. And I would even say we took 3 from the Mets in convincing fashion.
Friday night, I was a little puckered at Truist. It was a little touch and go there at the end of the game, but I don't know. Walking out of there with that W felt great, and then watching what unfolded on Saturday also felt really good. And then you're like, man, just one more to get that 2-game lead and that tiebreaker. And then they brought it all home on Sunday, and Saturday and Sunday were in much more convincing fashion than Friday night. But Friday night was just a great baseball game. Man,
they battled, they regained the lead. It was the Olsen-Swanson show. Home runs in all 3 games. Looks like Olsen's coming out of that funk and heating up. I did notice his hands are a little lower than what I talked about before. I said they were kind of high up. They're kind of, man, he looks like maybe he's catching a groove. But
last night he was 1 for 2 with a home run, and he took 2 walks, man. That's good Matt Olson baseball right there.
Leads the team in RBIs. So, again, you always I was even looking at that average, but he did have a really, really rough.
Yeah.
I'm talking
dry as the Sahara.
But man, just exciting. It's exciting because it just, it just really feels different now. Like, forget the St. Louis Cardinals infield fly back in 2012. Forget the meltdown several years later where the Braves gave up 13 or 14 in 1 inning against the Cardinals. Just all those failures and chokes and everything. It just seems like now, with Georgia winning the national title and shaking that monkey off their back, and the Braves getting the World Series, things are different. The energy is different. This town is excited. And it was big, not only because if they finish the season with the same record, we now have the tiebreaker at 10-9. They get that very, very, and Snicker even talked about how important it was to get that first round bye because that gives Albies a little more time for that pinky. He's got a smaller cast. That gives Strider a little more time to get that left side. You get your rotation set up, man. You get maybe do a little extra work in the cages, get guys dialed in, and your team is now ready to enter the postseason. I don't see the Braves, the Marlins are you're going to get their best. They would love nothing more than to play spoiler. And if you don't think it can happen, it can. I don't want to go there, but the Marlins could win 3 from the Braves. I just think the Braves are on fire. They're riding high. They're tough. They want to win. They're competitors.
We talked about it so much on the show. At certain times I was like, oh man, if we did choose to rest some guys, but like this weekend, it all came down to this weekend. Literally, that was kind of our disclaimer about everything that we talked about. If it comes down to the Mets and the Braves, and it did, and it was incredible. And to sweep that series, like I wish I was just like gung-ho about it the whole time. Don't rest anybody. Go for it.
Yeah.
Because we're here now, and we do have to take care of business against the Marlins. But, man.
I owe the Atlanta Braves an apology. I can't believe I even went there when I suggested that, man, with all these injuries and everything, like how important is it to win the division? And I did know that bye week was there, but I was like, man, I'd rather, the World Series trophy. But, man, I'm sorry I even went down that road and even hinted at not battling it out and duking it out for the division. And I just can't, I can't tell you how much it means to have those 3 games over in the bag. We are in first place. And I'm telling you, man, I could see the Mets dropping a couple to the Nationals because that was just a dagger right into the heart of the Mets. That whole organization and their fan base have PTSD from dealing with the Atlanta Braves. I'm telling you what.
Bringing Contreras out to face Diaz last night and playing narco was we were all looking at each other like they're doing this on purpose for sure.
Oh yeah,
they are throwing salt in the eyes. They are.
Yeah, man.
It was the whole stadium lit up when that happened. It was.
I've got
so
pictures.
Cool.
I wanted to go down there, but I did have the breast cancer walk. We cruised by the tailgate early in the morning, but we couldn't. They don't like you to get off course. They like to keep track of everybody. But I said, right over there, that's the Bird Gang tailgate. I said, I guarantee you, Mark's running around up there somewhere. And our good friend Ashley McKay.
We were the only people in the parking lot, so you probably saw us. But we were literally like at the furthest point away from where you were walking.
Yep, we saw Marcus King's tour buses because he was playing at the Tabernacle that night, and I saw the flags, and I said, that's the spot.
That's
it. So our good friend Ashley McKay texted you and said hello. It would have been cool to stop by and get some pictures, but we'll talk more about the walk. But that's why I couldn't get down to that Mets game. I walked 30 miles in 2 days. 20 the first, 10 the next, and don't let anybody tell you that's no joke.
I was dog tired from work, Braves game, work, dinner, tailgate, Braves game. I was struggling this morning, so I can only imagine if I added 30 miles of walking.
It's no small feat walking through that city and some of the terrain you have to go over. And I didn't get to break them in as well. I got some Noeens and some Brooks from our friend B. Scott. Saw him down there, talked to him for a little bit. He got me stretched out because I was on like mile 17 and I was starting to tighten up. He got me hydrated, got me stretched out, gave me a hug, pat on the back, said, you got this. By the way, how are the feet? Saw him one more time after that the next day, so that was fun to see him down there. He was a volunteer. He was working at they call them breast stops. And he was running a sweep van because sometimes, people just, as much as they give it, they're like, And I got to tell you, man, if it hadn't have been for a couple of ladies that I met up at the end, I don't know if I would have made it because about mile 17, 18, I mean, it was hard to pick them up and put them down. It was rough. Because, you have a team, but because I'm a little older and this was I did it last year, but it was kind of abbreviated because of COVID. And I said we were going to talk about this later, but here we are talking about it now. But whatever. We're just so excited. Man, it's going to be a Braves fan. Going to be an Atlanta fan. So anyway, I said, you know what? I'm a little older. I've never walked 20 miles in an afternoon before. My record was like 11 training last year for the walk. I said, I'm going to put my body to the test today. I'm going to see how quickly I can crank this out. I'm going to hump it today. And I did. I mean, I booked it. That first 10 was quick. Stopped off at a local, I want to say it was a high school, but at their stadium, they had firehouse subs and, rest stations and shade and water. And, there were feet people along the way, podiatrists to take care of your feet and everything. And I stopped, I recharged, and I took off again. So I was meeting other groups, but mainly just went on alone, and they were behind me just having a blast. And the next day I did walk with them, but yeah, I'm telling you, it was rough.
What was your time?
I did 20 miles in 7 hours and 5 minutes. So I could do better. I don't know next year if I'm going to try to push myself, because honestly, it's not about personal goals or anything, but I just, the competitive part of me
You just wanted to know.
But also, too, it's just, as you get older, you're like, where am I at physically? How is my body? I exercise some, not as much as I should now because of COVID. You used to see, I was a gym rat, man. I was in there all the time, especially up at the One Life on Holly Springs. But COVID came along, nobody went to the gym. Then it opened back up, and it was weird, so I still didn't go to the gym, and I'm just walking around the neighborhood and doing some trails and stuff, Red Top Mountain. But I haven't done much this year because of work, school, podcast, whatever, what have you. So I just said I want to see. I just want to see it at 44 what I'm made of. And I found out. And it was tough, but I did it. So I was proud of myself. And the next day I took it easy, and oh man, you should have seen my toes. They look much better today, but yesterday they were just ravaged. I mean, swollen, purple blisters, breaking in those new shoes that I didn't get in time probably didn't help much either. But anyway, raised over $800,000.
That's awesome.
For breast cancer, and 5,500 women go undiagnosed every day. Another 200 men get it every day. It's cancer runs in my family. I had 2 aunts that are survivors, so I just kind of found this last year through my girlfriend's mother, Joanne Miller, who's been doing it for 23 years, and I swear she gets stronger and more energetic the farther she walks. I mean, she's man, I'm telling you, she's a walker for sure. 23 years. That's a lot of miles. So anyway.
What's awesome, all that money goes local too. That
stays in Georgia. And man, we're going to be doing stuff here. We got a golf tournament. We as a team raised close to 80,000. I think we might have hit 80,000, but next year our goal is $100,000 as a team. We want to take $100,000 down there or more. We've got all kind of, I'm starting today. I've already signed up for next year. When we go live and everything, we're going to have ways you can donate. Tax deductible, you get a receipt. We're even planning a walk from Ackworth to Woodstock sometime next year, like a kind of little part. Start off in Ackworth, maybe have a beer or two, party it up, then end it in Woodstock because we're going to walk there, have bands, and just a great, man, more golf tournaments. We're all excited about it. Some of the people, this is my second year, but everybody else has been doing it for a long time. This is a very good team. So anyway, I digress. Enough about that. Let's go back to the Braves, and man, I tell you what, as good as Kenley Jansen is, because for those of you that don't know, because hey, I've taken a dump on him a time or two. You have, everybody has, because he scared the hell out of us. He's the NL save leader.
What did he hit, 40 last night?
40 out of 47 attempts. But man, I'm telling you, he gets a base runner on, and you just start, like you said, you start clinching. I told everybody on that first night, I was on Twitter and I was like, everybody buckle up. I did the old Samuel L. Jackson from Jurassic Park too. I was like, hold on to your butts. Because man, he really does whoa, but again, you have to give it to him. Lights out, not lights out, but he's the NL save leader. So he doesn't suck. People are saying he sucks. This guy, Sal, I can't remember his last name. It's insignificant. Because Sal Lavina or something like that. He's a Mets guy. He's big on Twitter. But he was saying that the Mets deserve to lose because Jansen sucks. And I'm like, well, no, he's the NL save leader. And the NL save leader doesn't suck. You have the most saves of any pitcher in all of the National League. So there's that. But, man, speaking of pitching, Kyle Wright, 21st win. He becomes the first pitcher since Tom Glavine to lead the league in wins since 2000. Charlie Morton gets 1 year, $20 million. You have a theory on that? I'll just say my piece real quick. Charlie Morton is a good pitcher. He had a rough, the leg, the broken leg. He had a rough start. He hit a stretch there of 12 starts where he was dazzling. But I said, 1 year, $20 million for a guy that went 9-6. Now, saying that, I did not do my homework and I did not look at run support. Sometimes pitchers are great and they just don't get any. Jacob deGrom, they talked about that. They said that guy's as good as a Brave next year, and he'll get run support and he doesn't have to pitch against us. So that would be. Should we do it? Let's go ahead. Why not? Jacob deGrom playing for the Braves. Because even though we bested him, the guy's still
still a stud.
A fine pitcher.
Is that what we're going to be? We're just going to keep winning World Series and taking trophies from our from the teams we vanquish along the way.
I won't overkill them. It's labeled magical. I won't overkill that button, but I'll do another dream scenario where deGrom comes to town, and we put Charlie in the bullpen as a long reliever.
Sure.
I think he'd be very effective. He's 38 years old. This might be his swan song, maybe. Who knows?
Well, and you mentioned my theory, and I don't know, but it seems like, if you're going to get this done, if you want to keep Charlie on the team and you get this done now before we roll into the playoffs, because we're going to the playoffs. So one way or another, we're going to need him on our postseason roster. You don't know 100% what Spencer's going to be. We don't know any of that. But you get this done, you put that little voice in the back of Charlie's head wondering what he's going to be doing next year, if he's going to be a Brave. You put that to sleep and you make him feel wanted in Atlanta, and now he's good to go through the playoffs. So maybe you paid for peace of mind for the rest of this year, and you have somebody that you coming back next year. I don't hate it. Market value being what it is.
Yeah, I honestly think because it's not on his throwing side that Strider is going to be fine. I mean, Snicker already said he was, in the gym doing the work. They have some of the best medical staff and trainers in the world. These guys are thoroughbreds. They're racehorses. He's a young guy. I have to think, given now, I don't want to be that guy that's just going to proclaim that it's in the bag, but it sure does look like it's in the bag. So with that extra time in the bye, I think he's going to be raring to go. And I think even though, and everybody at this point in the season, after 162 games, everybody's got some nagging, injuries or some hurts and aches and pains. And I think he's a competitor. And I think even if he does have a little bit, he plays through it because he goes, hey, man, you leave it all on the field. We want to repeat. So
you mentioned how many games they play in the season. How many games have the Braves won?
100. 100 games. I think they're 159. Yeah, 60, 61. Yeah. So, yeah, they could, man, I don't care, 100 games. I'll take it. They have a better record than the Dodgers since they went on that tear. The Dodgers have like 106 wins.
Best team in baseball since June, right?
Yeah, since June, they have a better record than the Dodgers. You see Freddie Freeman's kid chopping it up, still rooting for the Braves. Sorry, not sorry, Freddie. The kid knows. He knows where winners live.
I got asked at the Braves game last night what I thought about Matt Olson, and then so I started talking about Matt, and I got cut off, and immediately was like, "Well, do you like him better than Freddie?" And I'm like, "Listen, man, I never wanted Freddie to go anywhere. Freddie seemed like one of the last of a dying breed of people that were going to play for a singular franchise their entire career." I said, "No, that's not what it is." I said, "But whatever happened, this is also a business. They went out and got a guy that's much younger, that's very good, and locked him down for 8 years. So, yeah, I'm really happy with who we got. But, no, it wasn't my plan all along.
And if you're a Moneyball guy and you do the analytics and everything, and this was no secret, this right as he signed and all the whole Freddie Freeman saga was going on, analytically, he is projected to outperform Freddie Freeman over the next 8 years. He just is.
Yep.
Analytically. Who knows? He could tear an ACL, blow a rotator. Who knows what could happen? But by the numbers, he is projected to be a better value and a better player than Freddie Freeman. And there's an old Roy Orbison song called "It's Over." Freddie's gone.
Yeah.
I'm not dragging that horse out of the barn anymore. We've talked about it off here, on here, and everywhere else.
Oh,
Freddie Freeman's gone.
This same person, old Wilbert. Yeah, I said it. He got on Matt Ryan with me last night too. So I'm not going down that hole yet, but yeah, we can just kind of tell you what kind of man I was dealing with.
So yeah,
the Braves game.
Kind of like this guy. I'm going to call him out now. He's No Side Georgia on Twitter, and he's always saying ridiculous things like, "I can't believe Charlie Morton signed that $20 million deal, knowing he doesn't have it anymore. He's hurt," or blah blah blah. Who cares? You talked about leaving money on the table. He wouldn't turn it down. I wouldn't turn it down.
Hell no.
Like, so I'm just over
It's a
that
dumb
guy.
thing to
I
say.
don't care if you unfollow us today, but maybe you're one of those people. Maybe you see this. Maybe you're one of those
you
people
need us.
that follows us so you can hate on us. But-
Which is fine.
Yeah.
The whole Charlie Morton thing, like that's the dumbest thing. You think Charlie, of all people in this situation, Charlie's the last person to not want to sign that contract. If everything you say is correct and everything you think is correct about Charlie's the first person to lock down that $20 million. So just think about what you say before you say it.
Yeah. So, but yeah, I mean, and again, I even back, because I texted you, I said, man, 20 mil for a number 3 starter who went 9-6. And I was like, that's a lot of money.
And I said, he's not even your number 3 anymore.
Yeah. So, but again, I didn't, and again, things happen in life. I didn't get to watch near as much Braves baseball this year as I wanted to. I just didn't. Now, I watched a lot of highlights. I read a lot of articles, talked to a lot of people that get to watch more games than I do. But hey, this coming up season, I have no school. That took up a lot of my time. There were a lot of nights where I was like, I want to watch this Braves game, but I can't. I got to study. So that's gonna be a big help. So I'll be able to watch more games next year and follow them a little more closely with, and just check out run support. But I mean, it probably would take me 5 minutes here, but I'll just leave it at that. It's quite possible that somebody knows the answer right off the top of their head, but did he get a lot of run support? Because that is very indicative of your record and how things go. But anyway, it's baseball. Everybody spends. Like I think especially in the NBA, but NFL everywhere. I think everybody's market value is a little higher than it probably should be. So let's just leave it at that. It's whatever. But the last thing I want to say is, if there's still anybody out there, and there probably is, that wants to talk about how Brian Snicker isn't the man, or the first miscue he has in the first round of the playoffs, or anything. You want to talk about how he's not the Braves manager for the future, or he should be fired, or he's trash, or he's garbage. Pardon my French, but shut the fuck up. Shut up. You are officially, not that you weren't before, an idiot. He just guided this team, worked around injuries, had some rookies, and he just skippered this crew to another NL East crown, more than likely. Again, the Marlins are a professional baseball club, and they got nothing to lose. That's a dangerous thing. I don't think the Braves are going to give them an inch. I think they're going to be fine, but it's still there that the Marlins could win some games down there. It's not locked up yet. Now, we could win tonight and the Mets could lose. Over. So
you got to look at the dugout too. Like what Snit's doing, like this team is a team. They're having fun.
Well, the biggest argument is people say that the Braves, the players themselves, make him look good, and they make up for the fact that he's trash. And I'm like, you're so stupid. You don't know how the relationship works. And he himself has managed the Atlanta Braves and that talent, along with his coaching staff, to another NL East crown. Shut up. Shut the fuck up.
It's crazy.
I don't want to hear you anymore, and you can say it. I'm not responding on Twitter. I'm not doing any of that. You're an idiot. And anybody with any baseball acumen whatsoever, any true, real fan will tell you the same damn thing. You're wrong.
You're wrong. It's a dumb soapbox to stand on.
You've been wrong the whole time. You're going to continue to be wrong, because I said it before. This guy is pacing himself to become a bigger legend than Bobby. It could happen.
He's definitely been kicked out of less games.
Yeah. Well, he can't. He can't run out there as much as Bobby could. But I'm just saying, when you look back at greatest Braves managers of all time, there's gonna be two. because Brian Snicker's not going anywhere. We've got all this young talent locked up. Boy, it sure looks like with battling the way they battled to take the sweep and take the division and get that extra rest, sure looks like they're primed to make another run, another strong run.
We always talk about it, getting hot at the right time.
Good ball club. Olsen seems to be coming around. I'd love to find Eddie Rosario if anybody's seen him. And who knows? It could be that thing to where
Eddie scared me on Friday night. That's exactly where we're sitting. We're in 242, so we're right over Eddie's right shoulder. And man, start the game off the way he did, I was like, this is gonna suck. I got real nervous, but I put my optimist hat on, and we had a good rest.
Well, again, I think it could be, and it happens more than you think. People see athletes as these big, tough guys, and they are big, tough guys, but they're also very fragile. Their egos are very fragile. And anytime, Olsen or Austin Riley or anybody that got these big contracts, or an Eddie Rosario who was a good ball player but just kind of was launched onto the scene as an MVP, he gets a contract. Sometimes that gets in their head, and they maybe try a little too hard, or now they're like, well, I really got to perform now. I really got to give him something special. I really got to give him something good. Did the eye surgery? Is he not seeing the ball? Who knows? It could be a myriad of things, but the fact of the matter is the Eddie Rosario from last season hasn't been here this year. But
he was playoff Eddie too. So what if we get playoff Eddie?
You could. Well, that's I've said that before. When the season ends, you hit the reset button.
Yep.
Everybody's batting average is 0. Everybody has 0 RBIs, 0 home runs, clean slate. Do-over. Now here's the playoffs, so
who knows?
I hope it happens, but it's always nice though, to see flashes or streaks, and he just hasn't. I mean, he's still 10 times, 100 times, 1,000 times the baseball player I am. He'd run circles around me. He would strike me out if he pitched to me. He can hit a baseball better than me, he can do everything better than me. I could learn from him, but as far as, being a contributor to the Atlanta Braves' success, I would like to see him do more. I hope he gets there. And, speaking of that, you got to start talking about who doesn't make the postseason roster. And the first name that comes to mind for me is we saw him last year because he was an Astro, but I'm not sure about Jake Odorizzi. I don't know if he makes it.
I don't
know if he makes it.
I don't know either. You would guess no? I mean, well,
he's just struggled. He hasn't been very good.
It wouldn't make sense. I'm literally trying to go through who. Yeah, I mean, we gonna keep him for long relief or something, but
who knows, man?
Why would you even do that?
It's weird now in the playoffs because you get those bullpen starts, so it's not like you need that arm. The Braves won a World Series last year off a couple of Jesse Chavez. I'm pretty sure started a game. You get every team did it too. It's not like it was just the Braves. Every team, I think, in the postseason last year had one of those bullpen starts.
So weird, but
yeah, it is weird. But I can't think of anybody else that may get sloughed off. Ozuna's been contributing, and because he's Marcell Ozuna and he's a professional athlete, the legal system's going to work for him, and that thing ain't even going to go to court until the postseason's over.
Oh, of course.
Grossman, I think, will be there. Yeah, there's going to be some tough ones. Who knows, man? You got to take a look at Ozzy's pinky. He may be left off. Now, of course, he'll be with the team because Acuna was there last year, but if you can't play, you're not going to take up a official roster spot.
No matter who you are,
everybody knows that. So that's possible. I'd like to think, though, Snicker with the pinky said it's a smaller cast. Everything's looking good. So with that extra rest, I think he'll be there. But
fresh new set of oven mitts for him.
Yes. Oh man, he's going to wear those from now on. But man, I'm just telling you, I'm just sitting here. I wandered off for a minute just thinking about how good it is to be a Braves fan. I think we've probably talked it to death. They're back in the playoffs. They were always back, even if they weren't going to win the division. But I can't wait to I told my brother I might fly out to L.A. and watch some Braves-Dodgers at Chavez Ravine since he was here last year. We went to, I think, three games, maybe 2. Anyway, we watched them clinch to beat the Dodgers and go to the series. And what a game that was, man. We had some great
We were
seats.
both in the stadium that night.
Yeah, I didn't get home till like 3 a.m. It took forever to get out of there. But since he was here for that last year, I said, maybe I'll jet out that way and check some ball games. But, man, it's so fun. I just can't wait to see what this postseason holds, but what the future holds. I'm going to be watching, DeGrom watch. That's about the only hot stove action the Braves might have. There could be a trade here and there. But
Do you want to know what else is great?
what's that?
Next Sunday, the Falcons play the Bucks for sole possession of first place in the NFC South.
Yes, they do. They do. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. It was a nice win over the Browns. Now, I don't want to take anything away from the Falcons, but the Browns were dinged up on defense. Clowney did not play. Myles Garrett did not play. I don't have my Browns note from the podcast, but they were missing probably 5 guys on that defense.
Sure, but they were definitely injured. But I'm just saying, in general, what everybody said of these Falcons and where they are currently sitting right now, and we've talked it to death that we could have easily been 2-0 to start the season, but we had some miscues. It's a good place to be in.
Sure.
Just because, the any given Sunday thing, you can beat anybody any given Sunday, but the way these Falcons are hanging around in games, I heard my good buddy Hugh Douglas say, if the Falcons keep it close, they can beat anybody. And that is not the first or fifth time I've heard that, and it's kind of a good feeling. Now, it's weird for me to hear other people still talk about the quarterback, the coach, and the GM right now, as if for some reason you can't pull your focus away from one of those people to see the bigger picture of what's going on with the football team. But
I just don't want to see Atlanta fans be Atlanta fans.
Please.
And now they're like, oh, we may be first place in the East.
Nope.
We're better than, and they build up this hype and then they drop it to the Bucks. Oh, man, I knew it.
Yeah.
We saw. Look, it's great. They've equaled the win total that Vegas laid out for them. Just to rewind and backpedal a little bit, Vegas still has the Mets picked to win the damn division. And when I go to Vegas, I'm going to find the most famous landmark there, and I'm going to pee all over it. Enough said. But
we should just put money down. That'll
yeah,
really show.
they had the Falcons at 2-15, so it is great. That LA game was a thrill ride. They battled back. They hung in there. Couple of miscues that if those things don't happen in game, they win. They look like the Falcons of old when against the Saints because they just blew it. They blew it. They had that game won and they blew it. Seahawks, we talked about it. They got the lead late. They kept the lead late. Mariota still turned the ball over again Sunday, didn't he? Again.
Yep.
But
Yep.
again, they battled with the Browns. They hung in with the Browns, 23-20. Great win. Brady lost to the Chiefs, I'm pretty sure.
Brady got beat up.
Yeah. A lot of people are saying, hey, this could be the year that Father Time has finally got him, because his marriage is seemingly falling apart. There's a lot of drama, turmoil. He's not really dialed in, focused on football.
You usually don't hear any off-field stuff with him.
So that's all swirling around, and he can say all day that it's not bothering him, but he's a man. This is his family. This is his personal life. It's out there in the media for everybody to talk about. Some of it's true. Some of it's not true. Whatever you want to say. And let's not kid each other. Tom Brady ain't superhuman. He's 45. And look, does he take immaculate care of himself? Of course he does. He's got a whole method, TB12. So, but, you can't stop the clock. And he's playing against guys that are 20, 21, 22, much younger than him. It's just the game is fast, and who knows? I mean, you'd have to think maybe this finally is it for Tom. But I would love nothing more than to beat the Bucks, but it also is that weird thing, too, that weird dichotomy that Falcons fans get into, we really could use another great draft pick. But how awesome would it be to only be expected to win between 2 and 4 games to win the division and go to the playoffs. And
it's a weird place to be in, and we have this conversation every weekend, every tailgate. It's just back and forth, and I've made it very clear what my hopes were for the season, and that was, I'd really love a great draft pick to continue and further this rebuild, but I'd also like to see the team progress. Now, if winning is a byproduct of this team progressing a lot faster, then so be it. I don't care about that great draft pick as much as I do about this team succeeding. That supersedes everything. So I love what I'm seeing. I love the defense to me, and I've been waiting for a defense for so long, and I'm not saying this is that defense, but just getting to watch guys like Lorenzo Carter, and Sean Evans, and D. Alford, the preseason Cinderella.
He iced the game for us.
100%. But it's guys like that. Like, you see these guys are all like battling and playing for each other and with each other. And it's like a team effort. And I kind of, when we were at the Braves game last night, we were talking about them in the dugout, and we were like, I wonder if that's how like the Falcons locker room is right now, because these guys are like, they seem like they're just all out there fighting for each other. And, in the past, it hasn't felt like that. The past few years have not really felt like that. But yeah, it's cool to watch. And as much the rebuild is going to continue regardless. It has to continue. And the money thing, it's coming around next year. But this year, if we're on the 50-50 coin flip, or the good side of the 50-50 coin flip on some of these tight games, and we wind up sneaking into the playoffs, that's going to do even more. And maybe it'll shut people up about Arthur Smith, because I'm still hearing it about Arthur Smith. And if you guys, I'm trying my best. Exactly. I'm trying my best not to go in on Marcus Mariota and tell people about how I feel about Marcus Mariota, because if you listen to the show, I want to see Desmond Ridder. Nothing against Mariota, but it seems like the same. I'm watching the same movie over and over and over. And we're 4 games in now, trying to convince me that I'm going to see any different for the rest of the season is getting harder and harder, because even in seemingly good situations, the same bad thing seems to happen.
One could pose the argument if you wanted to. I'm not saying it would be the smart thing to do. We could play Twitter GM for a minute, or crazy Atlanta fan. Let's play crazy Atlanta fan
Sweet.
For a minute.
Love this game.
If not for Marcus Mariota, the Braves wouldn't be anything, because he doesn't play for the Braves. If not for Marcus Mariota, the Falcons could be 4-0.
Sure. But yeah, ifs and buts, right?
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing. You can look at, and that's what we talk about all the time.
We were playing crazy Atlanta fan, mind you.
You can look at his mistakes in the game, and if you want to focus just on those mistakes in game and see if those didn't happen, how the game would go. But you would also have to take away all the positive that he did in that game, all the touchdowns that he scored and stuff like that. You can't guarantee that Ridder gives you what he gave you, but you're just looking at the fact that he may not make the same mistakes that Mariota does. But mind you, he's also a rookie, so we have no idea what that's even going to look like. However, I feel like I said this a couple times yesterday. I said I feel like we're just, at this point, we're winning in spite of Mariota. And I'm okay with that, but I just don't see.
Well, a lot of times, funny things happen to a team when seemingly the fans are calling for the coaches to be fired, and they're not happy with the players, and the powers that be, the Mel Kipers or whoever of the world, aren't giving you much. When there's no expectations and you seemingly have nothing to lose. Look at the Cleveland Indians from Major League. Look what Lou Brown got out of those guys. They had nothing to lose. And then what did Tom Berenger say? He said there's only one thing left to do. Win the whole fucking thing. Now, do I think the Falcons are about to run to the Super Bowl? But sometimes you do kind of form a bond around that. And they're like, hey, guys, they're not expecting us to do this crap anyway. Let's get out there. And plus, they're professionals. Like,
Yeah.
has it happened before where, like, maybe the coach loses the locker room and, like, the whole team's just kind of like, meh? I mean, more sometimes, but I think more times than not, at the end of the day, these guys are still professionals. And guess what? They're still playing for a paycheck. They want more money. They want the pride of winning. They have a competitive fire, so they go out there every week and they try to put it together. Now,
You got to look at the guys on this team too. Like a lot of the guys on this team that made this team are playing for more money. Playing because we're not littered with first and second round draft picks on this team. We're one and done, make it or break it, show me contracts, and that's a lot of what our team is comprised of right now. We have, I don't know, it's just a patchwork quilt of people this year trying to show everybody what they can do and trying to help build this franchise back up.
if the I got Braves on the brain.
It's totally fine and understandable.
But if the Falcons secured a wild card, that would be overachieving for them this year, I think. But
100%.
We mentioned Charlie Morton and we mentioned contracts with the Falcons, and the one thing that we should have touched on that we haven't touched on, and he was the Met killer this weekend with his buddy Matt Olson, is Dansby. There are still some people worried that because Casey Close is his agent, things may not go so well. Now, it does make me think that Charlie got his money. Everybody else has gotten their money. What's going on now? I haven't read anything in the news, and Dansby could have said, "Hey guys, I'm trying to win another World Series here. Fuck this." Dropping a lot of F-bombs today, by the way. This is an F-bomb heavy episode. I'm sorry. I am fired up. And sometimes when I get fired up, they just fly around the room. That's crazy. But hey, we're not on the radio. We do whatever we want. So it's interesting. Did he say, "Yeah, hey man, whatever. I'm trying to win a championship"? We'll talk about this contract stuff later. I texted that sometimes during like big weekends here in Atlanta, my buddies get a good little text group going, my old college buddies, and he was concerned, my buddy Reeves, and I said, lessons learned. And B, if Dansby understands, and I think after all the Freddie Freeman saga, he understands this, and I don't know, how much Chipper may reach out to him because they, you've said this before, they weren't like a, bosom buddies like Freddie and Chipper were, but as long as he understands that Casey Close works for him, he doesn't want to go anywhere else. So I think we should just sit back, relax, not worry about it, watch it, keep an eye on it.
Yeah, don't worry about it till they give you something to worry about.
But don't be nervous that it hasn't happened yet because everybody's getting their money, because sometimes this stuff just doesn't come out in the news. And trust me, if there were any Dansby Swanson news of any importance or of any value, it would be out there. And they said they started the talks. We know that much. They've been talking about it. But he very well may have said, I don't want this to be a distraction to me or my team. I don't want to hear about Casey Close. I want to hear about Freddie Freeman. I want to hear about contracts. I'll tell you this. If something doesn't happen shortly after the season ends, and I'm talking 2-3 weeks, if there's nothing, no developments, there's radio silence, then I'm going to start to go, oh boy. All right, now I'm a little concerned. But that being said, let's just go ahead and throw it out there because the big sports guys have already talked about it. Let's just say he leaves. The Braves got money. There's a guy out in L.A. who's pretty good, and he's a free agent. His name's Trey Turner.
Yep.
So I don't think Vaughn Grissom's the guy. I really think Vaughn Grissom is going to be the left fielder. He's going to be one of those guys that came into the league or came up as a shortstop, but he may end up being a corner outfielder, which is fine with me. But anyway.
But even if not, you have him.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So even if you don't sign anybody big and we don't sign Dansby, which I really, really hope we do because
I'm going ahead and say we are. It's
I'm not worried about it until somebody gives me something to worry about. He's one of those guys, and more so than most, that I just like. He is a brave man.
Yeah. Man,
it just makes sense.
God, we've said it on here a million times. Marietta High School, right over here, the Blue Devils. He's got a home here. He's got family here. I think his brother lives here, so nieces and nephews. I know he's got at least a nephew. That doesn't matter. It's beside the point. He's got roots here. He's got family here. He watched the Braves growing up. He's been around. He's married. He's setting roots down. I'll tell you what, if it did happen, I would just be stunned more so than Freddie Freeman because of everything that happened with that and who he is. I would be floored if we had to come on this show and go, he somehow got away. I honestly think he's going to just tell the guy, hey, I don't care what happened in that other scenario. You work for me. I'm staying here. Get it done, or I'll find someone that can. And that's what in any situation, that's what any athlete should say, or wherever. If you're represented by someone who is negotiating a contract or work for you, they work for you. And if you want to be somewhere, that's what you tell them. I don't care what you do. Make it happen. And if you can't, don't fuck this up for me. Yeah. Don't you mess this up, I'll fire you. If you can't make it happen, if you can't work with the Braves after all this Doug Gottlieb, Freddie Freeman garbage, if you can't, I'll find someone that will.
Yep.
Just make sure the lines of communication stay open and make sure you express exactly what you want. And I think that's going to happen.
Don't let it be a distraction now.
I think it would just be strange. It would be really strange if that deal doesn't go down, because guess what? I think we're about to see the best of Dansby Swanson.
Yeah, well, and
number one draft pick.
I really hope that it. I hope that it happens after the playoffs. I do.
Yeah.
Or that they're just waiting for the regular season to end. Then they're gonna drop the news. But I don't need it to be. I don't want it to be like a mid-playoff thing.
I don't know.
You know what I mean?
It will be. Again, I fully believe he's just said, hey, the conversations have begun, but let's focus on the task at hand here. We're trying to go back to back.
Laser focused. Watching his post-game interviews and stuff like that.
27, 28?
Yeah.
So, and again, people talked about it's bad or everything. Everybody knows that baseball players have their best years, late 20s, early 30s. That's when they really, their body of work, you find out. That's where they make or break themselves. That's where are they Hall of Famers or not? His bat's gotten better. I think he could win an MVP in those years. I think we're about to really see prime, grade A, badass Dansby Swanson. He's
Gransby
a great
Slamson.
Yeah, he's a great fielder, and now his bat's. I just hope the old thing doesn't happen where he gets the giant contract and then he gets in his head or whatever. But I think we're really about to see some wild stuff from that guy. Some really great baseball from all of them. It's scary. We've got all these ridiculously talented young baseball players at rock bottom prices. I feel it's like Alex Anthopoulos is one of those used car guys, and he's out there, slashing prices, and like Tom Steimus, he's slapping the hood of the van. Yeah, so it's just crazy to think. And we've got money now. And there's going to be a new TV deal soon. It is just ridiculous to think what the Braves can achieve.
Yep.
And I don't think they're done. Even if they don't put together a World Series title this year, they're not done. They're going to be in the hunt for years to come. Years to come.
Speaking of hunt, there's a guy for the Falcons named Caleb Huntley that...
Yeah, he ran the ball some. I saw that, right?
Came out on wildfire. We just brought him up from the practice squad. He was part of that 10-play touchdown run where we ran 10 straight plays. I think he carried the ball 8 or 9 of them. Yeah, man, that was it's such a weird game. We were talking about how, and mostly it comes from the people who hate on Arthur Smith and people that sit in our section. There's a lot of hatred for Matt Ryan. There's a lot of questions that being asked about the current regime, and one of the things was how the coach doesn't get the ball to Pitts enough in the game plan and all this stuff. So we were having a conversation in the stands about how if you're watching this team progress over the first 4 weeks, how it seems that every game we're improving just a little bit. We're making what we do fit this team. And I've said it, and I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. Arthur Smith is not out there throwing the ball directly to Kyle Pitts. So if you think he's not running plays or running that offense to try to get Kyle Pitts involved, I think that's being very short-sighted about what he's doing. If you have a man that's that talented on your football field, of course you're going to try to get it to him, but you also can't control what your quarterback does, how the play breaks down, what unfolds on the field. You can't do any of that. I say all this to say everything becomes more dangerous if we're able to run the football like we're running the football. And I sat there and watched the whole game, and I was watching on the scoreboard every time they popped up the like the team stats, and I was watching how in the first half it seemed like they were creeping. The Browns were creeping up, and we were just kind of stagnant in the first half, not doing a whole lot of anything. And then we started running the ball, and it's something that I am still not used to. Little over 200 yards rushing as a team. It's
been a long time since the Falcons had a feature back.
That's it too. But just that one, we weren't getting anything going, and then you come out, and the one thing that we're supposed to be the worst at, and mind you, Cordero Patterson is a little banged up, so you have Huntley and Algier as your running back tandem, and literally 10 plays in a row, they run the ball literally all the way down the field and score a touchdown. And at that moment, I was like, there's no way we lose this game.
I mean, sometimes you just see a vulnerability in a defense and you take advantage of it.
But
they saw something.
That's my point. So you don't, when everybody looks at this team and they want to trash talk a coach, because if you're not going to put the blame on Mariota, you're going to put it on the coach. That's what I found, that it's most likely it's either the quarterback's getting blamed or the coach is getting blamed.
Or the rain.
Fair enough. But
see what I did there?
He legitimately is finding ways to put his guys in the best place to win. Like he's scheming with what little we have.
He's doing his job.
But he's doing it well. We don't have the personnel that you would like to have. If you match us up on paper with a lot of other teams in the NFL, and I'm not complaining, I'm just saying, I'm stating facts. If you match us up on paper with other teams, we don't match up. We don't at all. But he's literally finding ways prior to the game by game planning, and then he's watching what's happening in the game. He's finding ways to attack the other team and put what we have to best use. And I'm literally watching it happen on a week-to-week basis. So, like, when people look at the final score and people see, the Mariota turnovers and whatnot, but they're not watching like everything that's happening right now. If you're a real Falcons fan, if you're a diehard Falcons fan, if you really want to see this team succeed, you should always want more for your team, but you should be so happy with like what's happening in front of you.
Yeah, I mean, the turnovers got to stop. Everybody knows that. But anybody that's mad about Kyle Pitts is because they started him ahead of somebody else on their dumbass fantasy team. That's why they hate it, because they're not getting points because they draft. I guarantee you, 7 out of 10 guys. I bet.
Sure,
7 out of 10. I guarantee you.
I want him to be a bigger part of this team because I just know it's there. Like, do I have him on a lot of fantasy teams? Yes, I do. But that's irrelevant because I don't blur that line. That line never gets blurred between the Falcons and fantasy football. I want him involved because I know what he's capable of. That's it. That is it. If we can run the ball, if we're figuring out how to run the ball, that should open him up even more. But I want him to be involved because that is he and Drake London are our weapons. And Cordero Patterson, he's just a little bit banged up, but there are weapons.
Go back and watch the film too. Is he open? Is he in double coverage? What's happening during the play?
Well, if you watch a lot of it too, you'll see a lot of people look at how many times he was targeted and how many catches he got. And if you want to get stuck on that, you can also watch the entire play and realize that a lot of times when Mariota is getting flushed out, that Pitts is just his guy he tries to shove the ball to. And sometimes if you're that good, you're that big, you're going to come down with some of those balls. A lot of times it is just a defense mechanism, and his best bet is to knock the ball down. I saw it happen with Drake London too. I'm really, really trying to do my best not to get down on Mariota. I just need
He's got to put together a complete game. And
right.
He hasn't
Well,
done it yet.
I just need him to be a decisive person, because I'm watching a lot of times where he's running when he could have passed the ball, where he had an opportunity to throw the ball and do something good, that he's choosing to run. And sometimes he's choosing to throw the ball where he should not throw the ball, when he has a glaring opportunity to gain some ground with his feet. So I just want to see it with my own eyes. I trust and believe in the coaching staff. Just my personal eye test. I watch every single second of the games, and I just want to see. I want to see him make better decisions if he's going to be out there, or I want to see somebody else and figure out how they make decisions.
I can tell you this: if they manage to beat the Bucs and they take sole possession of first place, they ain't putting a rookie in there.
Sure.
He's going to keep going. And again, I don't know what it is. Who knows what it is? All I can say is this. The Falcons won. Do you want the Falcons to win, or do you want Kyle Pitts to have 11 catches for 287,000 yards and lose? What do you want? You say it all the time. Maybe that's going to be one of our T-shirts. We're going to have one that says, get out of your feelings. We're going to have another one that says, what do you want? What do you want? Falcons are 2-2. Some games, Pitts may break out and blow up and have a great game, and some days, a couple of 3 catches. It's how the cookie crumbles, man.
Yep.
Who knows?
And that's how it is. Like, for me, I'm watching these games. Like, I'm thrilled. I'm thrilled with what's happening. It's not the sexiest football team we've ever had.
Ugly win, still a win.
Yeah, man. But we're in again, we talked about the Browns being banged up. That's one thing. So, but it's still an NFL football team. We're not going to take that for granted. But like they weren't banged up on offense.
Yeah.
They weren't banged up on offense. And Chubb had his day. It's very hard to stop him. He's statistically the best running back in the league. He's looking like a young Derrick Henry in his prime.
He's Nick Chubb.
Yeah, but I'm just saying, like, he is coming into his own. He is out there imposing his will on other people. But our defense found a way to help our offense that is not always finely tuned stay in the game just long enough. And again, here's one particular thing. So in the fourth quarter of the game, Grady gets called for an offsides penalty. You can see him on the field, pissed. He is pissed. And then I think 2 plays later, Grady comes in with the sack. Now, years prior, Grady still would have been the only thing on that defense. So Grady making up for that penalty by getting that sack is negated because there's nothing behind him. But this team and this defense and the way they're playing together right now, it made a difference this time. Like that recovery made a difference. So I guess all this to say, great win for the Falcons. I'm thoroughly excited, and I can't wait to see where we go from here.
Yeah, it's a lot of football left. 13 games. So, we'll see how it unfolds. A lot of question marks. I mentioned ugly wins just a few moments ago. And speaking of ugly wins, let's change our hats and put on our old Harry. He's right here. He's up there with his homeboy Blooper now. That was an ugly win up there in Missouri. And I am kind of glad it happened again, even though they scared the daylights out of us because they've been knocked off their perch. I, for one, don't think Georgia's been exposed. I think it's been their play. They're not playing to their abilities. They're turning the ball over. Stetson Bennett did not look like Stetson Bennett Saturday night. He was forcing some throws. He was overthrowing. They weren't in sync. They weren't jiving. They weren't dialed in. I don't know what's going on. I wonder, is it the old rat poison thing? They just, they came out like a house of fire. They look like this complete, monster of a team. First 3 games, and then Kent State smacked them in the mouth. They still won. Missouri smacked them in the mouth. They still won. I don't know. I know they've got to figure out how to run the ball. Now, they did it in the second half, they ran the ball much better because they started doing these gap schemes because Missouri was getting penetration all night. Missouri shoved us around on both sides of the ball.
It was very strange.
And again, I'm not going to take – I am going to say this. Like, I think Missouri has legitimate beef as to whether or not they should be ranked. I'm not just saying this because Georgia almost lost. I watched the game. They're a good, big, strong football team. Kirby even said, hey, man, I've been in this league a long time. You go on the road. But I think the thing is that everybody was kind of expecting unranked Missouri, number 1 Georgia. You go in there, you handle your business. But these past 2 games now, I can honestly tell you, they may have learned some things. They've been tested. They may have gotten better. But something ain't right. They've just been off.
We talked about I was sure we were going to go up there and beat the shit out of them after what happened with Kent State. I was sure of it. I would have bet the farm on it. I mentioned it multiple times. It was very tough to watch. And I guess it's hard. It's harder to watch these games because you know what you have. And it's weird. It seems like I know I can't out-coach Kirby. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
But from the outside watching in, from the fan perspective, like you just sit there and you watch things fail and you wonder, like, why are we still doing that? And it is what it is. I don't know better than him. That's just the not being able to control or help what's going on the field and the anxiety and the frustration.
I'll say this. If that team that was on the field Saturday night and the Saturday before march into Athens against Tennessee, Tennessee's going to win. Stetson, he lost his composure. He didn't he regained it to some degree, but that's what I kept saying, texting my friends. I was like, he's got to regain his composure, man. It was just weird. Now, everybody says, well, Alabama had that game against A&M. Every championship team has them. I'm like, that's 2 in a row now. I don't know what it is. Now, they got to get some wideouts back. I know that.
Well, so Kent State was just – that was just a stupid game, right? I'll take that one away. This one is our punch in the mouth. This one is the one where, holy shit, like what's going on? Because Kent State, you were never, ever afraid. Missouri, little worried.
Dude, I'm telling you, the little guy that lives in my head, that you've seen him a million times, I texted my buddies. I said, here we go. I said, this is a good old-fashioned Georgia bed shitting. Here it is. I thought these games were gone. I mean, they fought back and they won it, but I was like, it's happening. I said, I can't believe I'm watching this. I can't believe. I said, is Mark Richt on the sideline somewhere? Is he coaching this game? My buddies have a name for me because we played in that dome game against the Tar Heels, and we should have just came out and romped them. I mean, we ended up coming back, but North Carolina was giving us all we can handle, and I was full-on Randy Quaid. I was just like, my God, man, here we go again with this crap getting pushed around by a team that shouldn't be pushing around. So they started calling me Tar Heel Rob. And I texted them. I said, Tar Heel Rob is here. And I said, if Tar Heel Rob needs to drive over to Athens when they get home and kick some ass, I will do it. I was like, this is ridiculous. This is ridiculous. But again, battled back, won close games. It's a long season. It's the SEC. Again, Kirby said it. Hey, man, it's the SEC. It's the road. A bad SEC team, and let's not – I don't want to say Missouri's bad.
Yeah.
But I also will say that game was closer because Georgia did not play. I mean, this is the second week in a row they didn't play up to their abilities, as good as they're capable of playing. So it's not that they were bad, but Georgia was bad. I mean, they turned the ball over again 2 times.
Well, and so I was literally, and this is not the same magnitude, but last year when Alabama beats us in the SEC championship game, I was just quiet. I let everybody else do the talking. I didn't talk a whole lot of shit last year when Georgia was steamrolling everybody. I was just quiet about it because it was so exciting, and maybe I'm a little superstitious and I didn't want to jinx anything. And I want when I talk shit for it to be very meaningful.
Oh yeah,
man,
man,
and that was sweet. But you lose in that SEC championship game, and now here all the Bama fans are just chirping, and I'm quiet, and I'm like, all right. So this happened. It doesn't change our trajectory at all, really. Like it doesn't.
Hey, man, I hope Alabama beats us in the SEC title game again, because then you got to beat us twice in a row, and you got to beat us for a second time in the national championship game. Who cares?
Sure.
Who cares?
But that's what I'm saying. So, but waiting to play Michigan, all I could think about going into that Michigan game was like this. We're gonna find out. We're gonna find out now who this team is, and we did, because they came out and ran roughshod over Michigan. Just didn't left no questions out there that like, hey, that team that you beat back here in Atlanta, not going to be the same team you see next time.
I think there are some other SEC teams that would have done the same thing to Michigan, because I don't think they're on the same level as a lot of SEC schools.
Well, and that's
Big
fair.
Ten fans.
I'm just saying in general, like the team, the way the team showed up and played, that they seemed off in that Alabama game. Everything seemed off compared to what they were doing prior to that. And then you came in and you saw a completely locked in, dialed in Georgia football team and a dialed in Kirby on the sideline, and they imposed their will. And I'm not saying that that's going to happen for Georgia right now, but like this is, I need to see Georgia dial back in.
Well,
so
I got Auburn this weekend.
Yeah.
That ain't going to be no gimme game. They're favored by 29.5, but Auburn's 3-2, and they're Auburn, and it's the SEC.
Yeah.
So, I'm not. They need to. For me, I don't know. Do they need to? Kirby Smart probably say they don't need to, but for me, I need that security blanket.
Thank you. Yes, the weighted blanket of Georgia's.
I need my my UGA binky, whatever you want to call it, because I'm a very fragile Georgia fan. Because our friend Shannon sent us a picture of this big old shit-eating grin of himself. Like, that's all I was thinking during that Missouri game. I was like, oh, here we go. Boy, if you guys drop this game, I'm never going to hear the end of it. All the Bama fans that hang out that I know, the Florida fans, my cousins that are Tennessee fans, Justin Hooper, who we know is a Tennessee fan, our friend Rain Tonkin, Tennessee fan, they were all just, that's all we were going to hear. And I was just like, I don't want to hear it. I said, I will jam something in somebody's eye. No, I didn't have to. But I need Georgia to put up a pretty convincing win against Auburn. Now, if they don't, but I just need to see it. I need to see them bounce back. I need to see that team from the first 3 games.
Let me know that you know how good you are. Please.
Yeah, so
please.
Then you got Vandy. Not too worried about. Then after that, the Gators, then the Volunteers. That's the 2 right there every year. Our buddy Donnie will say, man, I don't care if they lose every game as long as we beat Florida. I'm kind of on the fence. I don't care if we lose every game as long as we beat Tennessee. It's kind of a – because let's look who we got. Then it's Mississippi State, Kentucky, Tech.
Can I go on the record saying I care if we lose every game?
Yeah, sure. I mean, just again, Georgia football has had some epic – and I say you shouldn't throw this word around, but they've had some epic – chokes, some epic shoot yourself. I've told you that pistol. I said, when they're going to take that thing out and shoot themselves right in the foot. I just don't. And those 2 games, that Kent State and that Missouri game, I think it was more of this team's about to beat itself than the other team being good enough to beat them. I think it was just miscues, and I mean, Stetson Bennett was throwing balls that normally, if things were good, they should have been, they were just not, I don't know, man. The only thing I can tell you is they weren't jiving. They've not been jiving these last 2 games.
Second week in a row, the Varsity Blues comments started flying.
They got to get it back, and they need a good week of practice. Stetson was a little hurt towards the end of the game. Some of my buddies were texting, like, pull him out of there. We got to pull him out of there, but he stayed in. They fought back. They battled back. They ran the football. They won. But, my nephew, they've been exposed. I don't think they have been. Now, they were bringing it. They were bringing 7 guys coming off the end. They were blitzing the crap out of him, and he wasn't getting the ball off quick enough. But I don't think there's any secret formula that's been revealed. I don't think, coaches are, sure, they're going to watch that game, but they're going to watch the Kent State game. But you're going to see a lot of mistakes by Georgia that allowed Missouri to hang in there and allowed Kent State to hang in there. Turnovers is the big one. What 5 now? If you count the fake punt like Kirby did, 6 in 2 games.
It's tough.
You give teams opportunities. I was just also worried too because Missouri didn't punch it in the end zone all that often. Put Lesney and that fat number 92 who looked like he's 37 years old for Missouri. It was a field goal. Remember that one? It was like 11-9 many years ago. It was all foggy and rainy in Athens. Missouri came to town. We should have steamrolled them, but it was a field goal-orama. And literally, I think the score was 11-9 and Missouri won. And that's why I looked at my buddy Donnie. We were down there, at the walk watching the game in the hotel bar, and I just said, man, I just don't want to get beat by a fat 38-year-old kicker from Missouri.
Named Mevis.
Yeah,
Mevis and Butthead.
Yeah, he looked old, man. And I think we should check Anthony Richardson and Hendon Hooker's birth certificates too, because those dudes got some serious Greg Oden vibes going on. I was watching that Tennessee-Florida game, and they showed their pictures, and I was like, those dudes look like they're like 32. Like, what? That's so weird, man. And it happens a lot around college football. You see these athletes, and they just look so much older than they are. And it's like, now I know the big thing is like parents will hold their kids back sometimes, but anyway, them dudes look old. And that kicker looked old.
Get the Chris Winkie vibes.
But there's some guy like playing for some SWAC team in Montana that's like 38 or something. So, I mean, I guess as long as you have eligibility, you have eligibility.
Played minor league baseball for a while and just decided
yeah.
Go relive his glory days.
Yeah. But anyway, there's not much you can say. Just Georgia has not played their best football the past 2 games. I'm not gonna take anything away from Missouri. They're a tough team. I like I said, I do think they legitimately have some beef about their place in the top 25 or their place in the football world. But again, Georgia just stunk.
It's hard to be ranked at 2 and 3, man. No matter who you went toe to toe with.
I won't say like now, but before going into that game, maybe they had a legitimate argument that they could have been. They had a spot.
Sure.
I mean, those dudes. I mean, they were scrapping before the game. They were talking trash, and
they got. I'd like to know more about that like pregame scuffle where
Georgia's big on both sides of the ball.
Did you see all that?
I did. It was Carter. I don't know who knows, man. It's they
chop blocked him out of the game.
Yeah, they're young men. They're athletes. They're fired up. I mean, that's the whole football mentality. Everybody's, Kirby's in the locker room talking about running through a wall, and they're always amped. So anytime somebody claps at you or chirps, hey, and they're kids, young men. What do you want to say? They're. I mean, I remember what I was like at 23, half in the bag at a Georgia game. I was ready to jump. I was ready to beat up a Gamecock fan or whatever. I never did, and I learned my lesson. I'm much more classy now as a football fan than I used to be, but every 23-year-old male who's got a belly full of bourbon is going to be a little feisty on game day, and the players as well. But that being said, those boys from Missouri, man, they shoved us around both sides of the ball. That's no secret. If you watched the game, you saw it. They shoved Georgia around.
A lot to work on, and Kirby said pregame too. He was talking about that. It's like they're big on both sides of the ball, and that's where we're going to find out where this game goes, and we found out early. But the mistakes are what's killing us. You take some of those mistakes away and you flip it around, and then that game doesn't look so bad. But what happened, so you have to take that and you have to learn from it. And I have no doubt this is just going to be another week of ass chewings. So hopefully Kirby will have them ready to go at home versus Auburn. Hopefully everybody's taking this one super seriously, because the whole world is going to be, the whole college football world is going to be watching this game to see what Georgia comes out and does. Because if they come out flat again against Auburn, that's what they're going to talk about.
Mm-hmm.
They're not going to talk a whole bunch about us if we're beating teams like we're supposed to beat them, but they will certainly talk about us if we come out flat against Auburn.
Well, Georgia just barely missed staying at number 1, but I'm glad they got knocked off that perch. That's a wake-up call, I think. So you got Alabama, you got Georgia. At least we didn't get leapfrogged by the Suckeyes. Michigan's there at 5-0. Clemson 5-0. USC, Lincoln Riley's getting it done out there. They're 5-0. I don't know who they've played, but Oklahoma State, a team that I'm surprised to see up there, and boy, they sure could be sneaky. Ole Miss, the Rebels, they're 5-0, man.
Can't trust Lane Kiffin.
You know, I have a love-hate relationship. Sometimes I really love Lane Kiffin, and sometimes I really hate Lane Kiffin.
Well, but that's what I'm saying. Like, he's one of those. He's got that good con man vibe to him where he sucks you in. And you're like, wait a second.
Yeah,
you know what I mean,
yeah, he's slick, man. Man, he called out their fan base about attendance at the games, but he's not the first SEC coach to do it. But he's like, he was not happy about how Ole Miss was representing themselves, and you know, still looking good. Oregon's 4-1 at number 12, so still looking good, handing them their only loss. But Utah's, you know, they're creeping back up. But yeah, you know, I'm just, and again, I'll take what I can get. It's a tough season. Football's a crazy, weird game. You know, the App States and all the crazy teams of the world that have been winning, you know, every season. But more, it seems like more so this year, there have been some teams that kind of creep up and given some teams some headaches. But it's, you know, it's tough, man. These kids they're all competitors. They're all big, strong kids. They're all athletes. And again, when you're number one, everybody goes in there looking to punch you right in the mouth. They want to be the team that says we upset and knocked off the defending national champions, the number one team in the world. And again, maybe it is one of those rat poison things that Georgia said, we'll be fine against Missouri. We got this. And maybe now they're like, you know what? We need to, you know, lock it up, tighten it up and play better football. So we're still going to roll along. You know, we'll be at the SEC championship in the end, I think, anyway. But yeah, I'm just a little, you know,
no, I know it's a blah, it's a blah feeling.
Yeah.
And it won't get rinsed away until we go out there. And it's not even about beating the shit out of somebody. It's just about going there and going out and playing like you're supposed to play, or how you showed us that you can play.
Yep.
And just show us that again, that's not lost, that something's not very wrong. And then everything it'll settle back down. But hopefully that this is what they needed. Maybe hopefully it's a learning experience. Hopefully they're all learning experiences for Kirby and for the team.
And with that said, and I'm looking at the timer over here, but looking at my clock, I've got my girlfriend's flying out today for Orlando. I got to make some pickups, but I want to call attention to all the see little things happening around here. We've got some cool lights. Jared, he's like a mad scientist in this place. There's things you can't see, but there's some more sound panels and some lights and some little accent lights back here. We didn't mess with it because we don't know what we're doing. We still don't know. But, man, just I can't tell you how excited I am for this show.
Real quick, you dropped so many of them in this episode. I feel very remiss if I didn't get one. So thanks for the dope fucking hat, B.
Yeah. Man, just so many really exciting things are happening, and probably not in any sort of negative manner. We're just so excited about this show and to be doing it and have the opportunity with the Believe Podcast Network. Let me slow down a little bit. It's like our first episode. I'm just so excited about all that's going on.
It's almost like you're the one going two-handed octopus caffeine.
It's just, man, what a big weekend, and just it's exciting time to be a fan in Atlanta. Not that it hasn't always been. Well, not always, but the Believe Podcast Network. It's so excited to have that opportunity because they're doing big things. And Mesmerize Media, they're doing big things. And it's just, you know, it doesn't happen as quickly as we want it to, but that's not a bad thing. It's just because we're so amped and we want to wave the wand and have it all done tomorrow. But every time we come in here, there's some little new piece to the puzzle. And, you know, I'm going to be here to help out some. But it's just exciting, man. It's really starting to come together. And we've got some new subscribers. And I'm telling you, somebody in France is listening to us like crazy. The numbers keep going up. So, wee. Anyway, I don't know. I got nothing else. But, man, I looked and we have, like, over the last 7 days, we had close to 500 downloads just on the audio side. So, like I said, guys, we're going to keep doing things to improve and get better. Thank you for watching. Thank you for listening.
Thank you so much.
We really do want to hear from you. You're going to have ways to remind you how to get in touch with us and find us on social media and stuff really soon through this great app called Restream. But, man, just keep hanging with us because, like I said, content's only going to get better. And I apologize, too. We're going to have a late one come out because of last week we had, like, a really, really bad accident with fatalities, and I was unable to get to the studio. Like, any kind of access point was kind of blocked off, and a couple of days went by to where, you know, just life happened. I couldn't get over there. So we got one in the can from last week that's going to come out. It's still going to be good, but sorry, sometimes it happens. But like I said, a lot of great stuff happened. The episodes are going to be able to get out quicker because we won't have to get them in other hands. We would do a lot of stuff ourselves. But, man, it's really coming together. I'm excited to be here. He's excited to be here. I think we just broke the record for longest show ever. But that's all right because we don't have time for 2 today. We don't have time for the doubleheader. But we'll be back Thursday with Chris Mazzoni, I think.
Yeah,
I'm mixed up. It's either Chris Mazzoni or I have a guy. He's a baseball umpire. I can't remember his name off the top of my head.
We're going to figure it out.
But either way, we got a guest on Thursday morning. We'll do a couple episodes for you. We'll be with you all weekend. And once again, Atlanta, chop on. Go Falcons. Woof, woof, woof. We love you. We need you. We'll see you later.
Do you believe?